Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful granny circle square motif. It's got these really pretty sort of rounded lacy edges, and I'm also going to show you how you join as you go for these motifs. So you don't need to make them all and then go to the trouble of sewing them together, because I'm going to show you exactly how you join as you go by making one here and showing how you attach to the other squares. If this is your first visit to my channel, it would be amazing if you could just take a moment to hit that subscribe button and bell notification so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Now, as always with my videos, there are timestamps in the description box below, along with a full list of materials, colors, shades, brands, hook sizes, all the information you need for this pattern, including the written pattern. All of that information is in the description box below. So don't forget to click that little arrow to expand the box and get all the information you could possibly want from there. So without any further ado, let's begin, and I will show you how you make this beautiful granny circle square motif with this really pretty scalloped edging, which will make for the most beautiful, delicate baby blanket. Okay, so I am using a 4mm crochet hook and double knit yarn for my circles. However, you are free to use any yarn and any hook size that you so wish. So to start the circle, I am going to be starting with a magic ring. Now, if you don't know how to do a magic ring, I do have a video for that. A little eye will have popped up over here, or I've popped a link to it in the description box below. Or if you really detest the magic ring, which I know a lot of people do, you can substitute this out for chain 4, slip stitch to join, and then you can put all your stitches into that little ring. So with my magic ring, I am going to chain 3, which counts as my first double crochet, and chain 1. Now into the magic ring, I am going to place a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. So we're going to repeat that until we have 12 double crochets. Don't forget this initial chain 2 counts as your first one. So I have done now 3. And we're going to keep going, double crochet, chain 1 until you have 12, including that first chain 2. So just take a moment to check that you have 11 double crochet and your initial chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and chain 1. So you want to make sure that you've got in total 12 stitches with chain 1 spaces in between. And when you're happy you have 12 stitches, you can draw that magic ring close, but not too tight just yet. And you're going to slip stitch to the second chain of those initial 3 that you did. So ignore the one at the bottom, slip stitch into the second chain. Chain 1, cut your yarn, leaving a nice tail to weave in afterwards. Pull it up, pull it tight, and then close your center ring. So you'll have 12 double crochet and 12 chain 1 spaces in between for your first round. Okay, round 2, grab your next color, make a slip knot on your finger, pop your hook into any of these chain 1 spaces in between your double crochets, doesn't matter where. Pop that knot on your hook, draw it through to the front, and then you are ready to begin round 2. Okay, round 2, chain 2 which counts as your first double crochet, and then add one more into that very same chain space. Chain one, and then into the next chain one space from the round below, you're going to pop 2 double crochets. Chain one, and repeat that all the way around, putting 2 double crochets, chain one, into each of these chain one spaces from the round below. When you reach the end of this round, just double check that you have 12 sets of 2 double crochet, and then join with a slip stitch to the top of your first chain 2. Now, if you can't clearly see it, just aim for the top. You don't need to be too precise. Chain 1, snip your yarn, and grab your next colour. Okay, just like before, we're going to attach our yarn to any of these chain 1 spaces in between your double crochets. I'm just going to pick over here, pop a slip knot on your hook, and draw that loop to the front. Chain 2, which counts as your first double crochet, and pop 2 more double crochets into that same chain 1 space. Chain 1, and into the next chain 1 space, 3 double crochet. Chain 1, and then repeat this all the way around into every chain 1 space from the round below. You're going to pop 3 double crochet, chain 1. Now, just like before, to finish the round, join with a slip stitch to your second of your first 2 chains. Chain 1, cut yourself a length so you've got a good tail to weave in later, pull it up, and grab your next colour. Same story as before, pick a chain 1 space from the round below, any, it doesn't matter where, pop your hook in, make a slip knot, pop it on your hook, and draw that loop through to the front. Chain 2, which counts as your first double crochet, and then put 3 more double crochets into that same chain 1 space. Chain 1, and then into the next chain 1 space, 4 double crochet and a chain 1. Now you're going to repeat this all the way around into the chain 1 spaces from the round below, 4 double crochet, chain 1, 4 double crochet, chain 1, all the way round. To end this round, just as before, you're going to slip stitch to the top of your first chain 2, 1, 2, chain 1, trim your yarn, leave a tail, pull it tight, and grab your next colour. Okay, same story. There's a pattern here. Also, I just wanted to mention these little knots from your slip knot. when you weave in, oh, I've been crocheting over the tails. When you weave in your yarn ends, can you see you can get rid of that little tiny knot and you can hide it when you weave in your ends. Now, I have been crocheting over the tails, but that is purely to keep them out of the way for filming. If I was making this motif for my blanket, I would remove these back out again. Let me just pull it out here. I would pull these back out again, thread them onto a needle and weave them in properly. This is purely just so I haven't got a gazillion tails flapping around, distracting you whilst you're trying to see what I am doing. So grab your next colour, pop your hook into any of these chain one spaces, pop a slip knot onto your hook and pull that loop through to the front. Same as before, chain 2, which counts as your first double crochet, and then put 4 more double crochets into that chain 1 space. Chain 1, and then into the next chain 1 space and all the chain 1 spaces around, you're going to place 5 double crochets, chain 1. So keep going all the way around and I'll meet you back here. Okay, to end the round, you are going to slip stitch to your second chain, your second starting chain. As I said earlier, if you can't quite find it, just aim for the top. You're all right. You don't need to worry too much because this is a granny style crochet project, so we're only ever working into the spaces. So don't stress too much if you can't find your chain 2. So chain 1, when you've finished, cut your yarn, leaving a decent length to leave in, pull it up, pull it tight. Admire your little circle that no longer fits in shot. So I pulled up the camera a bit so you can fully see your little circle motif. And now we are going to do the white border edge and how to join as you go. So grab your joining colour for the squaring off of your circle. Because I want to show you how you join as you go, I won't be using white. I'm going to get a different colour so that it shows in contrast where I am joining as I go. But if you're following this colourway, then you want to be joining in white. So the contrast colour that I'm going to use for my border on this one square and to show you how you join as you go, the shade I am using is Palma Violet, just in case you quite fancied having this as a joining colour rather than white. So just as before, you're going to place your hook into any of these chain 1 spaces. Now I'm going to be joining on 2 sides for this one, so I'm going to start over here on a side section. So bring this through to the front. I'm just going to move this out of shot for a minute. Chain 2, which counts as your first double crochet, and then place 3 more double crochet into that same chain 1 space. Chain 1, and then into the next chain 1 space, you're going to place 4 double crochet. chain 1, and now we are going to do a corner section for the squaring off. So into this chain 1 space, you are going to put 4 treble stitches, chain 3, 4 trebles. Now a treble is American term treble, yarn over twice, then go into your space, yarn over, pull through, and then just like a double crochet, yarn over and pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2 until you have worked off all the loops. So yarn over twice. So 4 trebles, chain 3, 4 trebles, all into that same chain 1 space to form your corner. Chain 1, 4 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, 4 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1. Now I'm going to start joining to my blanket in progress on this side. So if you didn't want to do the join as you go and you just wanted to make a whole load of squares and stitch them together or join with a different method, your corners are 4 treble, 3 chains, 4 treble, chain 1, 4 double crochet, chain 1, 4 double crochet, chain 1, and then you would be back to a corner again here. So you have 2 side clusters with corners. So you'd repeat that with the corner all the way back round. But as we're going to be joining, you just bring in my blanket here. This is how you would join as you go. So because we're at a corner, we're going to put 4 trebles in first. Chain 1, and then find the corresponding top corner of your square. So this is the outside edge here. And you're going to slip stitch to that chain 3 space. Chain 1. You've now attached and finish off with 4 trebles back into that chain 1 space. Slip stitch to the chain 1 space on the square you're attaching to. So you're substituting out the chain 1 for a slip stitch. 4 double crochet into the next chain 1 space on the square you're working on. Slip stitch to the next chain 1 space on the square you're attaching to. 4 double crochet into the next chain 1 space on the square that you're working on. Slip stitch to that chain 1 space on the next square, and that is your sides joined. And now we're going to work on this corner. So pop 4 treble stitches into this next chain 1 space. Chain 1, and now I like to attach my squares to the diagonal, so you can see these 2 already attached. This one is waiting for its friend. So I'm just going to rotate my work lightly, and I'm going to put my hook into this chain 2 space on the diagonal. Pop the loop back on my hook and draw it through. Chain 1, oops, hold on, fell off my hook. Chain 1, and then finish this corner with 4 trebles. So you can see I've attached to the opposite square. So if I move over here, I always attach on the diagonal. I just think it looks a bit nicer. Gives this a very pretty central sort of cross, especially if you pull it out. I've got like a little cross in the middle. So moving on, you have attached 1 full side. So now we've just got 1 more side to go. So substitute the chain 1 on the side for a slip stitch, 4 double crochet, slip stitch, 4 double crochet, slip stitch. Now, if this was the middle of your blanket, so like these sections over here, they're inside the blanket. If you're joining diagonally, like I just did there, then you would leave this corner, you wouldn't attach it to this corner here. You'd leave it free. So you saw this one over here was hanging free, waiting for me to pick it up with my next square over here. Now, if this is the outside edge of your blanket and you have reached the end of the row, then you will slip stitch to it, which we're going to do now, just so I can show you exactly how you would tackle the outside edge. So 4 trebles to start your corner. So if this was the middle of your blanket, chain 3, 4 trebles, chain 1, slip stitch, you are done. If this is the outside edge of your blanket, you chain 1, slip stitch to that chain space, chain 1, and then complete your corner, which is 4 trebles. And then to finish your square, chain 1 and slip stitch to your chain 2, the top of your initial chain 2 that you started the round. Then chain 1, leave a length of yarn, pull it up, pull it tight, weave it in. But there you go, you are done. So I've just panned out a little bit so you can see how these squares look. You might want to block them slightly because these 4 double crochet, the pretty sort of almost shell, they do tend to sit up against one another. So if you block it and pull it out, then they lie flat. So you can see my ones over here. These ones are lying flat because I've just been, as I've been working on them, I've sort of been, they naturally will pull out and lie flat. But as you can see, this fresh one I've just joined, I've got a bit of a ridge. Actually, I don't know if you can see that at all. Yeah, there you go. I've got a bit of a ridge, but that will flatten out as you work on the blanket and the weight of the blanket sort of pulls it out, or of course you are welcome to block it. So I hope you enjoyed making this pretty square. I think it would make the most beautiful blanket. And if you were to put sort of like a scallop border edge on or something really pretty and lacy, it could just look beautiful. So I really hope you enjoyed making this take on a circle in a square. As I mentioned in the beginning, the colours I have used and all the materials and the sequence of colours. So I've just sort of rotated the way I've done them. So with this one, I started with yellow and worked my way out. And on this one, I started with the outside colour and worked my way back into the yellow again. So that's how I've done those. But all that information is in the description box below. If you have any questions, please feel free to shout and I will do my best to help. And that's it for now. I really hope you enjoy making this pretty blanket, and I would love to see any pictures of any blankets that you do make. And as I said, any questions, just holler in the comments section below. I will see you again on my channel for another crochet video very soon. Bye for now.